she's still just as bitter as ever. There's such a great new spin of
So for the roughly 99.987% of Americans who have not watched Michelle Obama's newest podcast, you don't have to do so. I'll just report on what the hell's going on over there. Now, in a recent episode, Michelle essentially continued to out her family as she has been doing on this podcast. First kind of outing her husband and his flaws and, the issues she has with him. And then,
Yes, Michelle Obama is on the news again. I have a couple of videos. I'm going to show you what exactly is going on. The View blown up. When you take a look at this, Malia Obama dropping her last name, The View co-host react. A lot of people are speculating like this girl is not Obama's child. That is what I've seen on social media. It is important we take an exclusive look into what is going on.
Michelle Obama, we love her. I love her. Take a look.
You're trying to distinguish yourself. I mean, it is very important for my kids to feel like they've earned what they are getting in the world. And they don't want people to assume that they don't work hard, that they're just naturally just handed things. They're very sensitive to that. Malia, who started in film, her first project, she took off her last name.
So she's not using Obama.
Yes, when you take a look at this lady, that's because they know that's not their parent. They were under contract until they turned 18, but not any longer. Michelle's supposed daughter and her husband are the real parents. I don't know about this. I'm struggling to question what exactly is even happening here because at a certain point we were not talking about these people until Michelle started this podcast. From one family issue to another, complaining here and there, now this.
So for the roughly 99.987% of Americans who have not watched Michelle Obama's newest podcast, you don't have to do so. I'll just report on what the hell's going on over there. Now, in a recent episode, Michelle essentially continued to out her family as she has been doing on this podcast. First kind of outing her husband and his flaws and, the issues she has with him. And then, of course, family dynamics, etc. Well, on the latest episode, she went on speaking of how her kids had decided to distance themselves from their parents. When I say distance, I don't just mean they went off to college, just a little physical distance. I'm talking about they didn't want to talk to their parents anymore. As a matter of fact, I believe one, if not both the daughters, changed their name. Yeah, they no longer want to be associated with the Obama name. Now, you may think to yourself, okay, I know that it must have not been easy growing up in the White House and having all that attention around you for 8 years, etc. But what would lead a child to want to remove a name which supposedly is supposed to have so much significance, power, and honor, I would say? Unless, of course, they didn't actually believe that, but instead they saw their name as problematic. So again, this is just my own personal opinion, but I believe that there are things that were happening behind closed doors, things that these young ladies were exposed to that they want nothing to do with. Because there have been a lot of kids that have gone in and out of the White House, some for 4 years, some for 8, and I have not heard of any changing their last name. Most of them would use their last name. You know what I mean? But this one, it's a little sketch. It's a little sketch.
Yes, I don't know if we will continue to talk about this every single time. I'm even fed up reporting videos about Michelle Obama. Yeah. But when I look at this whole situation, it is questionable. People speculating different things like it can be because of this that they have right to do that. Yes. I have not seen a single person leaving the White House coming out to indulge into different things, changing their name. There must be something that we don't know. Yes, these people want us to believe that is because they don't want people to look at them because of their positions in life. That is not the case. The View had a segment that is something they said on this show that drew my attention. I want to play the whole clip so you can see exactly what is going on. If you love what I'm doing here, please share the video and if possible, check if you are subscribed to the channel.
Michelle Obama, we love her. I love her. I love Michelle. Anyway, she's weighing in on her daughter Malia's decision to drop the family last name as she starts a new career in filmmaking. Take a look.
You're trying to distinguish yourself. I mean, it is very important for my kids to feel like they've earned what they are getting in the world. And they don't want people to assume that they don't work hard, that they're just naturally just handed things. They're very sensitive to that. Malia, who started in film, I mean, her first project, she took off her last name.
So she's not using Obama.
Yeah.
But this was a decision that Patrick Schwarzenegger wrestled with when he started acting, and he talked about it with his father, Arnold, in a Variety interview. Watch this clip.
There were times earlier in my career where I was wondering, does it make sense to go under some sort of alias? Does it make sense to go under a different name? Do I just use it? Does that add to comparison? It took a while for me to get to a point where I was less worried about comparison and living in your shadow versus me just wanting to carve my own path.
Well, I'm glad that you kept the name.
Yes.
Because now I can take credit. Yeah, my son, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
At least he doesn't have the
Well, wait a
accent.
minute. He's also Maria Shriver's son, and there's a lot of her.
So do you think they should try to avoid being branded a Nepo baby or own it the way he is?
I don't think there's
not that Malia is avoiding the Nepo thing. She just doesn't want that on her.
I don't think there's a clear right answer to how to handle it, but I can actually, you watched these people that grow up, especially the Obama girls, they were so young how young were they when they were in the White House? It was like 9 so when you've grown up under that, I respect and deeply admire that they're saying, hey, I recognize I have this amazing name that I'm so proud of, but I really want to make my own way and carve my own path. And I think that is so cool. And that doesn't mean keep it or let it go. It's whatever works for them.
What I don't like about it is that people assume that you didn't earn it. People assume you don't have the talent. I remember Patrick Schwarzenegger, who's starring in White Lotus. He's fantastic in that. And he's been, taking acting lessons for 10 years. And so he earned that position.
Yeah, but it's a foot in the door in the first place.
A foot in the door, but the door will close if you're not talented. I remember Denzel Washington's son, John David. He is excellent. Jamie Lee Curtis had the name. She had the connections, but she's also excellent. So there are a lot of, Drew Barrymore, there are a lot of people that are truly good at the craft, and that is somehow taken away from it. I mean, it's anecdotal, but I'm just a measly talk show host. And when my son got into college, everyone was like, "She must have bought a building." I ain't got building money, okay? I don't have building money. But he had a 4.0 GPA. He had a near perfect score on the SATs, and people were trying to take that accomplishment away from him.
These people want us to believe that this lady's decision to change the name is because she doesn't want to look, people should favor her in life as a result of coming from Obama's family. This is a twist. Yes, it is not really still clear. Yes. Just imagine you getting up, changing your name because of you involving yourself into career and to different kind of things. It doesn't work like that, right? There is that level of, I don't know, it is important. There is that significance of bearing your father's name. So struggling to change it, then still convincing people to believe it is something we are still to find out. I want to appreciate people that are supporting me on this platform. I'm grateful. If you notice, sometimes I usually add videos at the end of my clips. That is for the YouTube algorithm. They refuse to recommend videos sometimes, so it's necessary.
Who effing who?
People line up for my advice. And you're walking away like I'm stupid. It's like, I've written books. I've given speeches.
Why don't we choose more carefully who we're going to lionize? Not just us, but like the Harvards and the MITs of the world. Look,
There are just many natural reasons why marriage, infertility, trying to have kids makes things difficult. It's like I try to tell couples, of course it's hard. Just listen to what I said.
there's something wrong with this person. Like, she's seriously depressed here, and actually found a way to bitch and moan about how hard it is to live in the White House.
What did you make of Donald Trump's post this morning alleging that since I said I hate Taylor Swift, she's no longer hot?
Justice will prevail.
It also shouldn't be racial.
Require Carmelo to run. He had
100.
Has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification.
This is not going to end. Right is right and wrong is wrong. All good.
If you see any clips after this, that is just for the YouTube algorithm.
What if he says self-defense?
There's no self-defense. Because kids in here and resolve this issue is called conflict resolution.
Again, the evidence is still coming in.
This is definitely a self-defense case because it always is one until you look at the facts of the case and compare the two. You have to compare who was the initial aggressor.
Bedroom, because she's fearful of what might happen to her.
Followers for anything, and then
Registration Act is
talking about this man, Killmonger.
My summary of the first 100 days is that
if film and TV productions continue to
first term, and you will be very.
Once again, the field was littered with Wintour does every year. This Carmelo Anthony case.
Live in the White House. Many people
like a little unhinged drunk.
And black people don't want to live around wretched black people.
From an employee, and they had a brother.
So are you guys ready to watch perhaps the most amazing